There better not be a next time. Tell him there better not be a next time. Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, June 13th, 2022. It's now 10:11. I apologize to those that are online and in court. We had a technical difficulty with our YouTube website getting up, so running a few minutes late. We're here for the regular session of the Hunt County or special session of Hunt County Commissioners Court. This time I'll call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Martin to lead us in prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to our flags. If everybody will stand, please.
Shall we pray? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for wisdom, patience, and understanding with each other. The decisions here may be done in a righteous way. We ask you to continue blessing this great country that we live in. In Christ's name we ask all these things. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, everyone. We have Commissioner Hutchins, Strait, and Martin present. Commissioner Harrison is out. He's recently had surgery. I'm Judge Stovall. I'll be presiding over the meeting today. Commissioners, you have the minutes from May 24th, 2022 regular session in front of you. Entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Commissioners, you have minutes from May 31st, 2022 special session. Entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Commissioners, you got minutes from June 3rd, 2022 special session, and I found one correction on number 17510. Needs to have the motion carried and no one opposed added to the minutes. Does commissioners have any other corrections? Not. Entertain a motion for approval.
I do make a motion that we approve with those changes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Aye. Motion carries. This time we'll have public testimony. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes and should conduct themselves in a civil manner. The Commissioners Court cannot take action on items not listed on the agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Concerns will be addressed by county staff. They may be placed on future agendas or addressed by some other course of response. Is there anyone here today wishing to speak? Daniel, anybody online?
Not that I've seen, but Jeff told me he said that there is one. There's, Your Honor, it's a sales deal for a YouTube channel. Not a real one.
Okay. All right.
Check him, see if we're still up.
Are we still up?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. All right. No further public testimony, or no public testimony. We have no old business, new business. Commissioners, you got the consent calendar in front of you. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
A motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. Under action items, approval of accounts payable.
Make a motion, we pay the bills.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Approval of line item transfers, were there any?
There are not any.
None.
There is budget amendment.
Budget amendments, okay. Approval of budget amendments.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Approval of payroll and personnel.
Make a motion to approve payroll and personnel.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Action item number 1, appointing Brandon Baird, IT Director, to implement a state mandated cybersecurity training course through the Texas Department of Information Resources at no cost to the county for all county government employees and elected officials who have access to government computer systems or databases to fulfill the requirements of Texas Government Code 2054.5191. I make a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We're going to skip item 2 for a little bit. Item 3, the proposed new vendors for Hunt County benefits, Envision Financial, Roth RIA, and Family Heritage Globe Life Supplemental Insurance. Commissioner Sandy brought this to me that we're having our vendor fair next week. Is that right? When? This week. And we had 2 new vendors that wish to come and offer benefits to our employees. Since this is no cost to the county, it's only a benefit to our employees if they choose to use these services, but for them to participate, it's been the policy in the past that the court approved those, so I'd entertain a motion to approve these, provide services to our employees if our employees choose.
May we have a discussion, Your Honor?
Absolutely.
Okay, here's my deal with it. In fact, in the past, we've always brought this before to make sure that we'll allow the drafting in reference to out of our checks, correct?
Yes.
Am I correct? Okay, and I agree with, in reference to that, but there's by no means that we're allowing these vendors to come in. In actuality, the only thing that we'd have to do, and I think it needs to be on record, that we're allowing them at the employee's direction to withdraw money from their account. And all of a sudden, if they're not working here and they're not drafting, it would be up, would it be up for us to advise them that they don't have money here, which we have 2 of them at the time now? Or would we have to keep up with that aspect, or would they have to come in and pay it if they don't have money?
Once they leave our employment, it's up to that agency or that company to make contact with them and get payment. We're out of it.
We have no obligation to do any of that, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's my concern.
Okay?
Yes, sir, thank you.
So I entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Action item 4, the Human Resources Department to be able to add vendors without court approval since employees pay for supplemental insurance. So commissioners, what I thought Sandy and I talked about was that, they get the calls, and like this one, it came in a little late because the vendor fair is happening, that I felt like HR should have the authority just to approve these because we're not trying to make it a sole source to our employees. We're trying to provide benefits, and what one vendor might offer a similar service, one might be better for one employee over the other, and we think if somebody wants to come offer it, our employees ought to have the opportunity to choose. And so I'd make a motion, we approve action item number 4.
Second.
Second. I second it.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Action item 5, rescind requirement for no impact statement in setback area of floodplain is required by current flood damage prevention ordinance. Commissioners, this that 200-foot setback, we've had several discussions about it, had several properties with some issues with that, and when in doing more research on it, the staff determined that the guidelines that was put out by, Brian, help me, was it FEMA or TCEQ who put it? Texas Water Department, wasn't it? Yeah. They put it out, and that 200-foot deal came in, and really, And reading deeper into it, they said it really, that applied for more coastal areas where the ground's flat. Here, if there's anything, I think it ought to be vertical, using my old surveying background. It's more a vertical issue, not a horizontal problem. But then, being around the ocean and being South Texas is so flat, I could see it wanting to be a horizontal problem. So we feel like that it's creating a lot more headaches than problems it's solving, and we think we ought to rescind that requirement and just move on with it as our old policy was. So I'd entertain a motion to approve action item 5.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 6, the request to remove county roads and/or portions of Hunt County Road and Bridge inventory to be turned over to the Incorporated City of Portree in Precinct 2. Commissioner Straight, I know you got many miles of roads that are down the city of Portree, and this is to clean up your records. Is it, any other comments you have?
No, sir, I just, we have an interlocal agreement with them anyway, because they don't have any way to repair things. We do try to help them out as much as we can.
Your Honor.
But we don't need them on our inventory, it needs to be.
Yes, sir, they need to be in
Right.
their inventory.
Tell me this, are there any bridges in reference to that over there? Within that, bridges, regular concrete bridges or anything like that?
There might be a couple of bridges over there. Yes, sir.
Okay, we'd probably need to send that to TxDOT advising them in reference to, they inspect it every 2 years. We might need to notify them in reference to that also.
Okay, that's no problem. I'll do that. So I'll make a motion to approve this request to remove these county roads from Hunt County inventory.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 7, the request to Cross County Road, Rodeo Drive, a concrete street with sewer pipeline from 2844 Rodeo Drive to 2845 Rodeo Drive and 2800 Rodeo Drive to 2632 Rodeo Drive. This section of road was not big enough to bore under the road. Repairs will be made in regard to normal stipulations in Precinct 3.
Your Honor, make a motion that we allow this to work to be done with the normal stipulations, sir.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 8, the request to construct electrical power distribution facilities across County Road 2118 in Precinct 2.
I'll make a motion to approve this request of the construction of electrical power distribution under County Road 2118. Under usual stipulations, I'm sorry.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 9, the upgrade of approximately 2,310 feet of County Road 3226 from dirt to rock in Precinct 3. Money is in escrow.
Your Honor, make a motion we allow this to be done. It's a motion to make, and it is an escrow, and I appreciate it.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 10, the preliminary layout for Stinson's RV Park in Precincts 3. Brian, you want to brief us?
And what we've got, guys, is actually the developers and the engineer both had intentions of being here. The developers couldn't get a flight in, and the engineer had a prior engagement for this morning. This is a preliminary layout for an RV park. They haven't gotten into extensive engineering. They want to make sure that they have the court's blessing before they get into extensive engineering and getting into spending the money on it. They're getting away from the septic system that's used now, and they're actually going to do a package plant sewer system for the park. We had a pre-development meeting, and the engineer's aware of what our requirements are and what our requests are as far as road drainage and everything else. And just so that you know, this is out at an existing RV park out in Campbell at the 101 exit. And they've got a company who's looking at purchasing it, adding some spots, adding some amenities, and overall just kind of cleaning the park up, making it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing and making a little bit nicer park than just a road crew place where the road crews would stay and they don't care what it looks like. They're trying to make it a nice family park, quote unquote, so.
Okay, Commissioners, I met with them, and this is right next to Heartlines and behind Tin Cup. The owner of Tin Cup originally developed what's currently there, and these guys have them all over, I think, the United States and Canada, they claim. I believe them. They want to make this kind of a Class 1. They want, Class A motorhome vehicles to be able to come in and have spaces available for Class A, and they're providing a swimming pool area, playground areas, fire pits for people to hang out, and they're talking about some landscaping and adding walking trails around it. I mean, they're
Got a really nice preliminary plan.
they really got, I mean, what they're telling us, they really want to do something really nice, and that would be a nice upgrade for the park, as it's currently just gravel roads, I believe, inside of it. Now, they're okay with our widths and our requirements for our fire lanes. They said they would accommodate all of that. Are they wanting us just to approve this theory, this layout, because it's not a preliminary plat?
That's right. It's just kind of the idea of make sure that we're not going to have any issues and come back and say, oh, no, you've got too many spots, or
Right.
or no, we don't want this. They want a preliminary approval. If anything, they wouldn't add spots. They could reduce the number of spots. So,
And they are owner-operators. They're not in here to build it and flip it. They operate their own facilities, so they're planning on building it and holding it.
they build it and they own it and maintain them.
See, what I like about it, what they have already is nice.
Yep.
No, it's clean, it's nice, and they keep it up.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the preliminary site plan.
So move.
Second.
And a motion second, all in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 11, the amending plat for Wynn Estates in Precinct 3. Is it name change, or what is this?
Well, they went through and it's an acreage change. Before they had it as 5 acres, I believe, and they're reducing it to 3 acres.
Oh, is that what they're doing?
They're just reducing the lot size. It's friends selling to friends, so they're changing the lot size, so they're going to change the plat. But,
So the remainder property still has plenty of frontage?
oh, yes. Yeah, they actually reduced the depth of it. They didn't do anything to the width of
Okay.
anything like that, so.
All right.
The remaining track's a 30 or 40 acre track. It's a big track, so.
Entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 12, the final plat of Rios Addition in Precinct 1. I guess that's how you say that. I didn't roll my R's, Amanda, I'm sorry.
Pretty simple plat, ample frontage all along State Highway 34, so no right-of-way to improve or change, so.
Lot 4 that's got that easement on it, they still got plenty of room?
They do. They have enough room. The easement is 8/10 of an acre, so it leaves them enough for building on the south side of it. South of the easement is just over an acre, and then that little strip north of the easement was a couple tenths of an acre, so.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 13, the final plat of Lewis Chevalier Addition in Precinct 4.
These guys actually had submitted a plat before, and it had several lots along the county road. There's some discussion as to the county road. They've got to improve the right-of-way and widen the road a little bit. They've got a neighbor on the north side who's wanting to purchase this 5 acres. He actually owns the adjoining 10-acre tract, I believe. So he's wanting to or I'm sorry, the adjoining 5-acre tract. So he's wanting to purchase this and make ultimately 10 acres that he owns. So I believe the intent is to finance the right-of-way clearing with the sale of this lot.
So it's Patel that's going to be the one purchasing it?
Yes, Patel is purchasing this 5 acres.
All right. Commissioners, got any comments? Entertain a motion for approval.
I so move.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Action, thank you, Brian. Action item number 14, acceptance of high bids received on resale properties as follows. Account number R48629, the bid amount is $2646. R number 48630, bid amount's $2,646. R 70364, $1,090. R 48930, bid amounts $5,928, $5,928. R number 49153, $5,928. R 49107, $1,614. Entertain a motion for approval.
So,
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Daniel, we know anything about Calvin yet? Still a little early? Well, part of this, part of action item 2 is going to be to interview them, so we can do the interview portion before we talk about contract portions. Would that be okay? Okay, so we're going to go back to action item number 2. If I can find it. Well, where did my sheet go? Pardon me for a minute. Let me get straight up here. Let me see your sheet. I can't find mine. I don't know where it got stuck. Picked it up with something.
Very top left action items.
Okay, take action to approve a contingency fee contract with either Abernathy, Router, Boyd, and Hullett, or Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott LLP pursuant to Section 6.30 of the Texas Property Code, said contract being for the collection of delinquent government receivables owed to Hunt County, and notice of said contract is posted with the agenda in accordance with Section 2254 of the Government Code. The county is in the process of selecting a tax attorney collection group. We terminated the contract with our previous collection attorney group a couple of months ago. The court a month ago or so appointed a committee made up of myself and Chris Kilmer, the facilities manager, and Richard Hill, the Homeland Security Director, Fire Marshal, Health Director, every other hat you can wear that somebody else doesn't have, Director. And the committee went through the 4 proposals in the court last session, voted to pick the 2 high point getters from that committee, and the 2 are here today, the 2 that were cited. I think the court wishes to ask maybe some questions. They've had time to review. If it's okay, I'll start with asking questions, if that's okay, and then y'all can follow up. And I propose, if it's okay with y'all, that we can go, I'm going to ask the same questions pretty much, and we can alternate taking turns on who goes first, if that's okay, and whichever one of your group that wants to answer or respond to it's free to do that. I guess my first question is that in regards to the fee that's being collected, Purdue submitted a fee of 15%, which is lower than what our previous contract was with the other attorney, which I believe is it not also lower than the other fees y'all are charging for entities you represent in Hunt County? And Abernathy, your fee was proposed as being higher. Is that something you can verify with us and/or be willing to renegotiate if we so selected you on performance, and whoever wants to go first, and then you'll all alternate? Y'all go ahead and, y'all address it, and then we'll let y'all go first next time. So, come ahead. Please, state your names, it's on public record, please.
Patrick Woods, partner with Purdue Brandon, Fielder Collins and Mott. I have Patrick MacArthur here with me and Doug Burnside as well. I can verify that we did submit the contract for 15%. That is passed through to the delinquent taxpayer, and that is lower than some of the other taxing jurisdictions that we have here in Hunt County. There are 7 that we currently represent, and some of those are higher at 20%.
Right.
Wanted to verify.
And that's, y'all are paying all costs, you're not passing any costs for copies and stuff like that to our taxpayers?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, just to clarify one other thing, and Abernathy can answer it too, but it's follow-up. Explain to the court how this works when, you know, who files the lawsuit, and does it matter who files the lawsuit? Does that affect who gets the percentage by their contractor? Are the fees collected if it's Hunt County and our contract's 15, we get 15? If Greenville School District is 20, they get 20% from the taxpayer, so that we understand how all that works.
It's, Doug, Your Honor, Doug Burnside for Purdue Brandon. The fee is actually an add-on fee that's added to all accounts for real property accounts on July 1st of each year. So for every account, if there's, for instance, $1,000 in base levy penalty and interest due to Hunt County, there's an additional penalty of 15% added onto that account. And so that amount, then the amount would be $1,150, and when it gets paid, our firm would get $150, and the county would get $1,000 of it.
But that would be for us. But what about Greenville ISD?
Greenville ISD is a separate contact, so if they had the same $1,000 account, that account then becomes $1,200.
Okay.
And so then they would have, then, you know, the Greenville ISD would get $1,000, and the attorney.
And if it goes to suit, it doesn't matter who files the lawsuit?
Well, if it does go to suit, I mean, if Greenville ISD filed the original petition, we're going to intervene in that suit. And so, you know, they're owed their $1,000, we're owed our $1,000, and so, you know, they collect theirs, we collect ours.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Sir.
Abernathy, you want to address the...
Yes, we did propose it at,
Name, please.
is it even on?
Name.
My problem.
Yeah.
My name is Tracy Pounders. I'm Director of the Tax Collections Division for Abernathy Roeder, Boyd and Hullett in McKinney, Texas. And yes, we submitted our proposal at 20%, but that was just simply matching the existing rate that was currently being paid for such services. If, for some reason, the commissioners would like to revisit that issue and how much would be paid for those services, we are certainly open to that.
Okay. And you agree with the other comments about how all the money flows from the lawsuits and all that?
Yes, it was an adequate explanation on it. There is an additional, he mentioned the July 1st turnover date. There's also an April turnover date for for personal property.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly going to be affecting business personal property accounts. That would be the only thing that I would add on to that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Then, one of the things I think that, and this will be your chance to go first, one of the things that jumped out in both of these, that, at least for me from the committee, that stood out, y'all made a big deal about how we have too many old delinquent accounts that are older than 10 and 20 years old. Both of you addressed it significantly. Not really clear. I mean, both said you got ways to collect it. Can you explain to us how you're going about doing a better job in getting those fees collected?
Yes, well, first off, let me explain to you why they probably were not collected. And it's simply because they're hard. There are other accounts on your delinquent tax roll just simply easier to collect. And what I suspect is the prior law firm decided to put its efforts in on the easy accounts. On these accounts that have 10 or more years on it, you're going to have problems associated with it. A lot of those accounts, you may not even know who the owner is. The owners may have died. We may not know who the heirs are. and such. So there's going to be a significant amount of problems. Those are hard to collect. They're also more expensive to collect because you're going to be sending out notices. You're going to have to hire attorney ad litems in some certain cases on it. And also because some of these properties may be less desirable, they're going to sell maybe for less than the full amount of the judgment. So you make a little bit less money. So that may be the reason why they have not been collected. Abernathy, Roeder, Boyd, and Hullett, though, we are ready to roll up our sleeves and do the hard work that's going to do to collect these accounts. This was a very similar situation we faced when we took over from Linebarger in Lamar County, where there was just under 1,000 accounts similar to this. And over the years, we've gone through, filed the suits, and we've cleared out roughly 50% of those. Even it's a moving target, but we've still reduced it by about 50%. We use every tool that is given to us in the arsenal of the tax code. We're not afraid to use any of them. And so what we would be proposing to do at this, we would propose, I'm not going to say probably, we would put 50 to 100 of those accounts into litigation before year end, and that we would have those accounts cleared, have roughly 200 of those accounts cleared by the second anniversary of this, either by collecting the money or by selling the properties. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Well, Judge, it's a really good question. And I think there's a few ways to tackle this. Number one, Mr. Pounders is right. The state of your delinquent tax roll, based off the performance of the past law firm, is pretty low. It's pretty bad. So there's a lot of work to be done. There really is. So how can we do that? And I think that the size of Purdue, right, we have a lot of resources available to us, and we're going to help clean this up. So one of the things that I'd like to do is we'd like to have our call center get to work on some of these old accounts. You have lots of old accounts. And when I say call center, I don't mean robocalls. I mean trained professionals that are compassionate, that are used to working with delinquent taxpayers, that can reach out. And that's one of the ways that we can tackle this delinquent tax roll, is let's reach out and start trying to communicate what's going on here. The other thing is, yes, we do have these giant call centers, but we also have mailings, normal professional mailings. These are not the types of mailings that are going to be invasive, but they are a way to reach out to these delinquent taxpayers. And Purdue has a lot of resources available to it to begin to tackle this immediately, okay? And because it is old, you really do have many cases out there where normal tax lawsuits are available to us. And that's something that you just did not get with your previous vendor. The normal tax foreclosure lawsuits, we have the attorneys, right? We have 58 attorneys, but we have 3 or 4 that work on this account, along with the legal assistants. We can tackle that delinquent tax roll with some good, old-fashioned collections that Purdue Brandon is known for. And I think that's, we're going to have to see how old these accounts are, and maybe there's an opportunity to even use our delinquent tax warrant program. And I think that is one way that we can begin to tackle some of these old cases. And I'll let Doug speak to that to some degree.
Yes, Doug Burnside. That was one of the things I really wanted to talk about was the real property seizures, especially on these older accounts for the county, for the properties that are not within city limits, which I'm going to guess a lot of these older accounts that have a lot of years on them are going to be. The tax code allows you to do real property seizures to where we can basically circumvent the lawsuit processes. We file an application with the court. We have affidavits, of abandonment stating that it complies with the law and that we can go forward, and we get a warrant from a judge, and the judge allows us to then go literally seize this property. And these are only available for abandoned properties, which I'm going to guess a lot of these properties are. And then we're able to take it to a tax sale, and this process usually takes 60 to 90 days, as opposed to the traditional lawsuit process, which can take 2, 3, 4 years, depending on how convoluted the title issues are.
Okay. As a follow-up, and both of you can respond to it, I know that it's come to my attention during this process that I wasn't aware of, but I'm not sure the sheriff can maybe help me. I know some of our law enforcement get called out to some of these sites, especially our Homeland Security, which is also over environmental and also fire marshal and everything else. They get calls out on these because somebody looks it up on the CAD and it says Hunt County on it, and they're calling us and it's got debris on it and it's got, trash that needs to be cleaned up and all. If we're foreclosing on those kind of properties, what's our liability to get those cleaned up? And how would you suggest that we get a program together? Because I don't want those phone calls coming to our people and then our hands are tied and we can't do anything.
Sure. Are you referring to properties that we take to sale and then get struck off to the county?
Well, the one in particular that was brought, I don't know how many emails from 2 weeks ago and a couple of pictures. Apparently, we foreclosed on one inside the city at Hawk Cove, and mayor had gone, or fire marshal for Hawk Cove had gone out and tore down or knocked down a garage and left it laying on the ground, and then there was a structure falling over, and then we take it for taxes, and it's in our name. So it's sitting there as a eyesore and a hazard and everything else, so.
Well, one thing is before we'd allow a property to get struck off to the county, we'd make sure the county actually wants it. In situations like that, there might be some properties, especially if they're environmental issues,
Right.
the county would not want us to get struck off to them. Because while you might not have liability for the cleanup, it's still going to be your mess and it's going to have to be cleaned up eventually.
Say that again right there, please.
You're not going to have liability. If we strike it off and it has environmental issues, you're not liable for those,
Right.
but it's still going to be your mess to clean up.
Yeah.
We.
So on this one, we need to go down there and clean up that lot, is what you're telling me,
Yes.
unfortunately.
In those situations, there are two prongs you can take. Be aggressive in getting it resold, which is probably the best alternative, is to get it into private hands, someone who wants that property, who's going to then do the work to get it cleaned up and make it a productive, profitable property for them back on your tax roll. And then B, if you don't want to do that, or if you want to, if you want to make sure it gets cleaned up and cleaned up right, obviously the county can take that on, but that's an expense the county would have to bear.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, in the resale process, those expenses that you use in cleaning that property up and getting back to code, those come off the top before any other proceeds are distributed.
Okay, thank you.
First off, if I may have a statement on what they said. It is very true that the other firm has call centers. I kind of disagree on whether they are robocalls or not. They do use automated dialers to contact taxpayers to make connections. And then if it's a robot calling you, I do think they're robocalls. But Linebarger had call centers too. They've been sending letters. If they could be collected by call centers and letters, they'd be collected by now. These are only going to be collected by hard work. And this is the same kind of work we did in Paris. As a matter of fact, I've got 46 properties coming up on July 7th. We are extremely aggressive in terms of our foreclosure program, very aggressive in terms of getting those properties up for sale. And all but maybe 10 of the properties that we have foreclosed on over the last few years have been sold. We are very aggressive in getting them up for sale, and we're very aggressive at finding buyers and good owners for them. So that,
Where's this at?
excuse me? In
Where are these
Paris.
46, or where?
Lamar County and 46.
Lamar County?
Yes, on July 5th, excuse me, I said the wrong date, July 5th. So we're very aggressive at getting these up. We do utilize tax warrants, but there are other sections of the code sometimes that are much more suited for that process. And as I mentioned to you before, we will use every tool in the arsenal given to us by the tax code to get those properties taken care of and off the dead, what I would call a dead roll.
Thank you. I've lost track who goes next, but next, Jessica, help me keep up, please. I've lost track. Next question I have is, is reports to the court. Part of my frustration through the last few months since this has kind of been brewing is I've been almost 4 years in this office, and I had no idea we had those kind of delinquencies out there with that volume. I've never seen a report since I've been here. The court hires and fires your types of groups, and we want y'all to be responsible to this court, not to our tax collector. And I don't know if reports have been going to the tax office and not us, but I would like to know what y'all's proposal is to communicate with us so that we're staying abreast not only on foreclosures, but how we're doing on personal property and real property seizures and/or foreclosures, and in the number of accounts that we're getting dealt with, because we had no idea. We have no idea what's been going on, and I don't want that to happen anymore. I want to know if we're responsible for it and we're responsible for the money. I feel like we need to know what's going on. So.
In our proposal, we gave to you what we have as our annual snapshot. report that we give everybody. It is a very, 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 very detailed picture of what your accounts are, the aging of their accounts. We do not hide any of that with obscured, funny little reports that don't give all the information. We give a significant amount of that information. Are you?
I have a question.
You have a question? Yes.
Said that you looked into that and all this and realized that there were some very old accounts.
Yes.
Am I correct? Where were they?
I'm sorry?
Where were they?
Oh, I will tell you that 60% of them in the Quinlan ISD community, which it really surprised me when I took a look at it. They were concentrated there. But yeah, it's right about 60% in
Yes.
Quinlan ISD.
Tell me in reference to those basic delinquents, you say that they were very old, am I correct?
I'm sorry?
They were very old.
Well, it was a significant number with 10 or more years. There'd just been a lot of inattention to those accounts.
Yes, if you'll notice, in fact, in that particular area, you have Hawk Cove, in which I think we approved the sale of 3 of them today,
Yes, I saw that.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, in actuality, most of them were less than .2 or 5 acres. Am I correct?
Yes, it can be very small lots.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Paris, we have teeny.
My question, and I appreciate y'all doing that, I understand this, but this has been going on probably since after the lake was built. We have all this, the majority of these taxes, since y'all have looked into it, I'm sure Mr. Purdue has also looked into it to find out. In actuality, these are some of the hard ones to even collect, much less have somebody even buy them. That's why they're selling at a very cheap price.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Absolutely, and that was my experience we had in Paris. When we initially started the program of getting rid of these programs, a lot of the times it was very hard to find a buyer for them. And one of the things that, well, let me give you an example. The first tax sale that I did in Cedar Hill, not Cedar Hill, excuse me, in Paris, we had 26 properties. I had 2 people come up to the sale. Nobody wanted those things. We did find a buyer to take them by private sale a little bit later. But we instituted a program where we started to sell these properties basically at bargain prices. And slowly, bit by bit, the crowds came up to where now we're selling nearly every property. This last sale I had in February had 29 properties. 22 of those sold for more than the appraised value of those properties. So it may be a process of just educating people that these properties are available. We're willing to go through that process.
Well, the majority of these people basically own land right next to it to where they can expand theirs to where they can possibly get a sewer system and all this.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Very much. We actively contact adjoining landowners when we have properties
That's right.
that are available by letter where we can, and sometimes in person. We also have put up for sale signs in front of properties that are available for resale.
I'm getting a lot of this also, but here, and I'm just being sincere, or when y'all put this out, you're advising that they can't put a sewer system on this property, or are they knowing that? Because I have them come to me later on.
When we talk to folks, if it's in a city limits area, we do recommend that they contact the city in terms of what they can do with that property on that. But we do not give a legal opinion as to what can or cannot be done on property, because we cannot give them legal advice. We can only direct them to where they can get that information.
Where they can get the information already after it's already been possibly sold, or what?
Actually, a lot of times I give those instructions at the tax sale when I know that there's an issue on that. We do that.
I think, Philip, you mind me cutting in real quick? I know that, of course, one of my concerns and kind of excitement is I think this is the best opportunity we're ever going to have, and if we haven't already missed this land boom and everybody buying everything. I had a call last week from somebody in Houston that was looking at a site that we owned. It was a triangle piece that was, it was less than a half acre, that had no road access and anywhere, and he wanted to know what the county would sell it to him for. And so, there's people out there now that are just, they can be anywhere in the world looking and trying to find a deal if we just had a way to get them advertised and get somebody to buy them and start paying taxes on them. And hopefully we got enough of them in a row where they can make something out of them. This one, like you were saying, Philip, it's unusable. They can't even get to it. It's land. It's got roads drawn on the tax map, but it's a middle of a pasture. There's nobody that's ever that I could find had a plat on it. I don't know why it was drawn that way, and I drew the map, so I don't know how it was. But
On the other side of that, though, I have to tell you that recently I've seen properties that I would characterize as dogs that nobody would want, and you get people that'll go just fight like dogs to get it.
well, just look what, we just had those prices today, and they brought some really good prices down there. So now it's a time to strike, I think, to get this thing, get somebody aggressive and get on this and get some of this cleaned up, so.
And this is the time to go on it. I mean, it's a really good time to be foreclosing and selling in
Yeah.
the business here. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, my main thing is this right here. We have, in the southern part of the county, we have a lot, and if you have found out, a lot of these plat subdivisions and all that, they were selling lots, and Mr. Sawyer and everybody else were selling lots and stuff like that. They were calling them tent lots. In actuality, they can't have a sewer system because the majority of those that you're talking about, it doesn't have the, with the Quinlan, I'm talking about even Hawk Cove and that whole area over there, they have less than what the state desires in reference. Okay, and I understand, because I've been dealing with this for so long, that no, you're gonna get some, but then all of a sudden they're gonna find out they can't do this, and it's gonna be forever a situation. And I can understand that none of y'all can actually do a whole thing about it except keep on trying and turn it over, and then all of a sudden, no, somebody paid it. Good examples like the villages of Lone Oak in reference to that. They had those, supposed to have a sewer and all this. It's 540 acres. And now you have people that are trying to buy that off and go turn it right back into agriculture and stuff like that. So I know to a fact that there's not much neither one of these people can do in reference to that except sell possibly a dream and it become a nightmare after they find out what they can't do with it. And I'm accepting that. I'm accepting that. May I ask this, and I appreciate the judge's questions very much so because I believe he hit them right on. I'll let him go on and continue, and then I would like to hear a synopsis from each one of y'all's groups where you've been. I've read the books, but I think that you need to tell us about yourself in reference to it, what you do take care of here in this county. I know there's, and that's what I'd like for you to ask. I'm not going to in reference to Purdue. I know that Greenville ISD has changed hands, and I understand, but I am also of the knowledge that every year you're going to have a larger tax income for the simple reason all the buildings and everything else that we're having. So I understand all that. And I can understand how, they would go up in all this. But I would like to, like I said, y'all tell us, hey, and I looked at the list and I was going down through the list, but I would like for you to tell us about how this community.
Can you wait, let me finish, and then you can ask all those questions, please, sir? All right.
You want me to return to the original question?
Yes.
Come back here?
Yes, please, sir.
Yes. On an annual basis, we present a very detailed, extremely detailed report on the condition account is broken out by the various categories, exemptions. For instance, is a property, does it have an over 65 or disabled deferral? Is a person over 65 and not have a deferral? Is it agricultural? All of these different properties have to be handled differently. Additionally, on a quarterly basis, and I do understand that there may be other taxing units associated by interlocal agreement that this will cover. Well, each one of the taxing units in that interlocal agreement will be getting all of these reports, and we will be meeting with them individually. They will be the client, and we will be working with each one of them to let them know the condition of their accounts, exactly how we're going to approach and collect their delinquent accounts, and we will give them no less than quarterly updates exactly on how much money is being collected in every category, whether there are some various categories that are problematic that we need to adjust, and if there are hard decisions that need to be made with it. And some of those cases are, you may have a property where a child is disabled or such like that. Once we know about these, we will let the taxpayers know, and the taxing units know, the clients know, and we'll let them make those decisions for that. But I think we've had a very successful program of keeping our clients up to date in terms of what is going on with their collections, and extremely detailed in how we give that to them. So they know exactly, you will know exactly how well I'm doing in every sector of your community with our reports on that. I would also like to have Paul Lopez, he co-manages the section with me, and he also does our bankruptcy. I'd like to let
Let me ask you a quick follow-up. Would y'all commit to giving us quarterly reports in here, a report here, at least for the first year, so that we can kind of catch up with kind of what all's going on and make sure we're understanding, we're making some accomplishment, that we're getting where we want to go?
Yeah, no, we'll be here quarterly. We can come here, and we'll appear in person anytime you want us to. You're just down the road from us.
Well, I'd like to make it something standard so that we're all prepared for it, and y'all can be prepared for it, and, you know, and then you can follow up. I'm sorry, I wanted to get that in before you step aside. Yeah.
Well, and we also, just to kind of piggyback a little bit, Paul Lopez from Abernathy as well, just for the record. Just if I could piggyback a little bit on those reports. What we produce is by far the most detailed reporting that you'll get, and we'll show you everything. And it's not just, you know, glossing over the older accounts, the difficult accounts. We'll give you the status of all of the accounts. And some of our competitors will give you a report that shows, you know, a single year, the previous year of collections. And we don't think that that's necessarily what you need to be looking at, because those are the easier accounts to collect on. If you're going to show 94%, 95% collections for the last year of delinquencies, well, that's well and good, but what are you going to do about the 5 to 10 years, the 10 to 20s? Those are the ones that we really attack, and we found to be very successful in our program is to attack those older accounts as well, while maintaining attention to the more recent accounts. In terms of bankruptcy, I have a very vast bankruptcy background as well, and so we keep very tight records of our bankruptcy accounts. And so anytime there's a taxpayer, whether that be a business or an individual that files bankruptcy that has property in Hunt County, we find that we do those searches on a daily basis. And so we're able to communicate with you as to any case that gets filed, and we're able to report that as accurate and as detailed as you want them.
Thank you. Patrick?
Judge, Commissioners, Brandon, we represent over 98 counties in the state of Texas. Many of those relationships go back decades, and there is a reason. It's because you will not find better customer service in the business from any of the other firms. We give an annual collections report to each one of our counties, obviously every year. We have an ethical obligation from the State Bar to do so. So in addition to that, where you will learn everything about your delinquent tax roll, we will also provide you a quarterly report if that's what you would like. You will see us in here. You will get to know us in here. You will know everything about your delinquent tax roll, from deferrals to exemptions, whatever it is, dollars coming in, dollars collected, lawsuits filed, all the normal things that we would provide for many of our county clients you will receive. And in addition, you know, we may be here in court doing resales. You know, there may be a number of reasons that you would see us on the agenda so that we can continue to communicate what's going on with your delinquent tax roll. So customer service, those reports are very important to us. We do them in 98 other counties. We can do the same thing here and provide a very good service.
I do want to add, you had asked about a commitment to do quarterly reports, and absolutely we will do that.
Yeah, okay.
We recently took over a county, and they hadn't been getting reports either, and that's one of the things we first did was do that. We recently took over collection for Plano ISD in Collin County, and we do monthly reports to them. They go to the administration, not to the Board of Trustees, as that's the way they want us to go. But, you know, that's one of the things that, you know, they weren't receiving reports, so we're doing that for them because they want the information. Also, in our reports, in addition to just providing, you know, breakdowns of what the accounts are, you know, we have the ability to provide collection percentages, which is obviously the most important thing, is how are we doing? And, you know, we like to give the reports because we want to brag on the work that we're doing. We break it down by just the turnover year and the all years collections. And we also give a snapshot for each individual tax year to where, you know, for instance, the 2016 tax year, I'm going to say after year 1, this is where we were. After year 2, this is where we were. After year 3, this is where we were. And after year 5, this is where we are right now. And then I provide a breakdown for what's left of that after 5 years of collection, what kind of accounts are left. We also provide a total breakdown for, you know, the classification of all the accounts, whether it's in deferral, whether it's in litigation, whether it whether struck off property in bankruptcy, any kind of information you want, we can provide. We also have breakdown by years to where you say the percentage of your accounts that are in the older years plus break it down by dollar amounts. So which accounts are small dollar and high dollar. And I think one of the things you're going to find is that on your roll, a lot of these delinquents, a lot of these accounts that have lots of years of taxes are very small dollar accounts. And so that's one where, we would be able to take advantage of that and be able to collect it because of the volume of personnel that we're going to be able to put on the account. Oh, and bankruptcy also, yes. We also provide information on the bankruptcy accounts too. Hunt County doesn't have a huge problem with bankruptcy right now. 2 years ago when the pandemic first hit, bankruptcy was crazy. There were these large corporations nationwide were filing, bankruptcies on Friday and having creditor hearings on Sunday.
Wow.
And so we had to have, we have an entire bankruptcy department with 13 attorneys and dozens of staff members, and we literally monitor bankruptcy filings across the country. And during that time, when the pandemic first started, our firm as a general pretty much pulled back on collection practices because we didn't really want to be hitting people when there was, the pandemic going on. So we had basically every attorney in the firm working on bankruptcy stuff because it was that much work. But right now, it's not as big of an issue, but we do have that. We provide all the bankruptcy information that you would need.
Thank you. I guess my next question is that both of you mentioned title research, and not sure, I think Purdue's implied that they do their own, and I'm not quite sure what Abernathy, they just said they did title searches. But having been in the title business 28 years, it's kind of near and dear to my heart how this gets done. And I've seen in the past that in some areas we get real brief legals on tax sale documents that really become not insurable, which really doesn't help what we're trying to accomplish of getting these properties back on the market and being viable for somebody to do with. How, in today's world, are we getting better searches where we're getting back and getting a real legal description when it's required and not just some arbitrary tax ID number or lot number that's been set somewhere through the years by the tax office?
Yes and no. The first part of your question, yes, we do have an in-house title department. We have title plants all across the country, all across the state that we subscribe to where we can get online access to records. We also have...
Most of them aren't very good, by the way.
A lot of smaller companies, the more rural you get, the worse it gets. We also have professional corporate companies that we work with, and in some situations, we even hired local title companies if we have a really difficult one, or we get a piece of property where the property description is being 0.2 acres out of the Elizabeth Crockett survey.
Yeah.
And the name on the deed is Mrs. Davis. And so, in those situations, you might actually have to go back to the original plat and then work your way forward. As far as getting better property descriptions, Hunt County is getting a lot better with it. Some like, in the big counties, Dallas County, Collin County, it's not really a big problem. But when you start getting into the more rural counties and when you have more rural area, it's a lot more difficult. And the tax office descriptions are getting somewhat better as time goes on and properties sell and kind of stuff. And you're seeing that now as property values rise and more properties are transacting. But a lot of it still requires a lot of hard work.
It does require a lot of hard work.
And find that information. And you have to have experienced people doing that who know what they're doing and have the resources to be able to do it.
Right. Thank you.
Sir.
Judge, I'd like to add too, before I went to law school, I was a landman for an oil and gas company. So title is also my thing. And I can tell you that Doug and I, if we have to, we've reached out to landmen on our own in the community that do great work. So if we have properties that have divided interest, that have 100 heirs in them, a lot of times we have to go, we'll hire landmen if we have to. But we're going to make sure we have the best title folks that we can find to get good title on our suits because it reflects on our work as well.
Right. So. Thank you.
Just to reflect that, Your Honor, that is one of the challenges that faces all of us in tax collection is in terms of the title on these properties. But that's one of the things where we're really going to shine on it. The other firm is going to brag about all they do is tax collections. And we don't brag that because we're a full-service law firm. And one of those is we have a very, very active real estate practice. So whenever there is a problem account we have in terms of being able to identify the title or to be able to identify what it is we're supposed to do to be able to foreclose on a property, we're able to go, I'm able to walk down the hall to Randy Hullett or Bob Roeder and ask them exactly with their 40 years of experience in those things, I'm able to ask them exactly what they would do. We also have an in-house title company. We do utilize, on most of the times, we have an outside title abstractor that we utilize because that title abstractor knows how to do tax collection suits. But likewise, when we get into a situation where it's a little iffy and maybe the description from the appraisal district isn't as good, or we can't find a deed that we can reference to get a really good property description, we do have the experts in-house, and they're true experts in their fields, to ask and refer to so that we can get that resolved. And we do all of that at absolutely no cost to our clients.
Okay, thank you. And then I guess my last question is we've already hit on it just a little bit, but to go back, personal property. I know it's the hardest probably to collect. It has to be done quickly. Can you tell us the procedures on how y'all do that just so we get as many of those collected as we can?
Yes. We have a very active collection program in Collin County, and we would be mirroring that here for Hunt County. Mark Stone in our office has roughly about 20 years of experience going and working directly with businesses to be able to collect their taxes. We do the April turnover that comes over to us. That is when we're actually able to contact businesses and actually collect a fee for contacting them. We do that in April, first with written. We do not want to just knee-jerk react, throw somebody into lawsuit, because lawsuits are expensive. So we want to make sure that we take steps to be able to collect those taxes without burdening the taxpayer when it's not necessary. So we do reach out to them, but we also reach out to them in person. And if we cannot get satisfactory results from that, we will go into litigation. We do file a lot of lawsuits against small businesses in Collin County utilizing the small claims courts on it. They're quicker, they're easier, they're less formal, and they're less expensive for the taxpayers on that. We will also institute, when necessary, seizures of properties and sale. And one of the things we will do is work directly with the constable's office and the sheriff's office to make sure that we can get those seized and get them property. I do understand, you're pointing a finger, I do understand that there was an issue with that here. We did hear the speaker at the last meeting on that, and want to assure you that we've heard that. And from our perspective, whenever we're doing a seizure or business, anything like that, we're going to be working with the constables and the sheriffs and letting them make the decisions on who needs to be used. We will also be letting all of our clients know exactly what issues are coming up. They will be fully communicated, and we will follow the instructions that our clients give us.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, if I could just add on a little bit to that. Well, and on bankruptcy, but also in general, what we do is, as Tracy mentioned, we first send out that letter to our small businesses and our businesses in the community, but we also build a relationship with those businesses. As he mentioned, Mark Stone from our office makes personal visits, and that's one of his specialties. We don't send a lawyer to scare these small businesses. We don't send someone that goes and says, we'll sue you, which is some of our competitors have done. These small businesses have contacted us and said, hey, Mark, this guy tried to shake me down. What's going on? And he says, well, talk to me. You know me. We'll work something out. So what Mark does is he'll contact these businesses, and he sets up payment plans with them, something that works within their small business budget to make sure that they're complying with their payment obligations, but also doesn't squeeze them to the point where they can't operate. We know that the small business community is important, and we know that if you saddle them with threats and litigation, that it's not going to be good for the community. So that's one thing that I wanted to make clear is we generally develop a really good relationship with our small business community, and we keep that up throughout the years. With respect to bankruptcy, whenever, again, bankruptcies aren't, in Hunt County haven't been a huge issue, but from the people that I've been speaking to, this inflation that's starting to hit us and these higher interest rates are going to cause some people to have some struggles, and we do believe that there are some more bankruptcies that'll be coming up in the near future. So we're going to be ready for that. When those bankruptcies happen, we will find these small business accounts we know what to do whenever they file bankruptcy. I've been doing this for 10 years, so I'm not afraid to go into bankruptcy court, negotiate with banks to make sure that the county's liens are first, and that if any of that property gets sold, we get paid first.
So many of our mom and pops don't even know they own personal property tax.
That's true, and Mark is really good about educating.
They don't know to render their property for taxes sometimes. Yes, yeah, and the penalties and all they incur is terrible. What,
A lot of it is about education, and it's
Yeah.
going to, you know, they get a letter, they can toss it in the trash, but if you get somebody to come out and actually talk to you face to face, that's not intimidating, and say, hey, I know that this is a little weird, let me explain it. This is what you got to do, and here's where you do it. And, you know, this is how to get out of it.
thank you.
I'll address this. You know, with business personal property collections, they are tough. I might argue that mobile home collections are tougher. But you know, the key thing for business personal property collections is communication. And that's one of the things that our firm prides itself on, is we want to make sure we open the lines of communication with the taxpayers and keep them open. You know, we start off, obviously, with, you know, on or about April 2nd, depending on the year, you know, those business personal property taxes get turned over to us. And the first thing we're going to do is send out a letter to all the delinquent businesses. And it's not a threatening letter, it's basically a notice of a tax lien, making sure they're aware that they have these tax obligations and that they need to get them paid. And then we immediately also start our phone campaigns. And again, our firm has never and will never do a robocall. I can tell you that right now. We have never used an auto dialer on our business, on our tax collections. Never. And our firm will never do that. We have individuals who are calling people. We do not ever use robots or telemarketers or anything like that. They're all trained professionals who are full-time employees of our firm. But that's key, is we're making the phone calls. We're reaching out to the taxpayers. We're talking to them. We're making sure they understand what their rights and responsibilities are as business owners. We also have a very robust site visit program, to where we have every office in our firm has individuals. You know, they have one person, Mark Stone, who goes out and does it. Well, we have dozens of people in our firm who go out and visit business personal property sites. We also, and they said it was a bad thing that attorneys go out and visit businesses. I disagree completely. There is no one more effective at going out and talking to a delinquent taxpayer than me. And I'm going to do it better than any employee is going to do it. I'm going to do it better than any legal assistant is going to do it, because I know the ins and outs of the law, and I know exactly what we need to do to communicate with these people, to help them with what problems we can help them with, and to make them understand that, you know, they need to pay these taxes. It requires empathy, but it also requires a firm touch. You know, we also addressed warrants. Sitting here in the meeting a couple weeks ago, that was kind of interesting what happened. One thing on doing a warrant is that the constable is in charge of the warrant. We're there as a representative of the taxing unit, but once we serve that warrant, we give that warrant to the constable. It's to the constable and the tax collector, and they're running the show. We're there to provide advice, we provide support, we make sure things go right. There are a lot of constables and sheriffs who don't have any idea what they're doing, and in those situations, we take control. I have executed literally thousands of tax warrants. I've never had an incident occur like that. People get upset at it. People get mad because we've come out there and we are making an extreme demand on it. But I would say 99% of the time, we walk away with money and not having to take any kind of property. And that's our objective, is not to close businesses down, but to collect your taxes. You know, we have experience in counties all across the state doing tax warrants, working with sheriffs, working with constables of all different levels of experience. You know, we also, as far as collection on bankruptcy for business personal property, we recently, you know, filed a claim in the Belk, which is a big one here, and we got paid on that for our clients. You know, we monitor that. We make sure, again, with the bankruptcy, the business personal property accounts, all that was the big one in the bankruptcy stuff that went on. And so we're, you know, make sure we followed all that. Going back to the process, you know, site visits, we do litigation if we don't have assets that we can readily seize. Because litigation is much more time consuming, and businesses, they aren't paying their taxes because they don't want to. They're paying them because they can't. They're struggling. Some of them don't know about it, so we've made sure they're aware of it. But then once they're aware of it, you know, we want to make sure we try and collect those taxes as quickly as possible and as ethically as possible, because we don't want to take a chance of that business closing and the county losing out on their tax lien. Lawsuits can take a year, 2 years to go through the process. But if we go out and execute a tax warrant and we do it professionally and responsibly, then the county is much likely to get their money much faster, and chances are that business is going to continue to operate. So, you know, there's different views. Do you have anything you want to add? Okay.
Thank you. All right, I'll start with precinct 1, Commissioner. We'll go by order. Mark, you got any questions of him?
Judge, you covered most of my questions already, and y'all anticipated and answered some of them. One small question I would add is, Purdue, Brandon, y'all propose absorbing printing, postage, and mailing costs for the required 3307 and 33.11 notices for the county.
Pull your mic down, Mark.
Oh, can you hear me better?
Yes.
Y'all propose absorbing the printing, postage, and mailing costs for the 3307 and 33.11 notices
Yes.
for the county, and as an addition to any February delinquency notices. Is that something, can y'all confirm that? And if so, is that something y'all could also provide as well?
Yes, that I can confirm that we are doing that. We do that for many of our clients.
Okay,
I will confirm that we do that for all of our clients.
perfect, thank you. That's all I have right now, Judge.
All right, Randy, you got anything?
Yeah, a little bit. My question has pretty much been answered from the judge here, the question he's asked, but I guess the question I am going to ask is Abernathy. You're at 20%, and you said you would renegotiate to 15%. 5%'s a lot. That adds up. Is that going to take away from anything that y'all may do for us that you would do for 20%?
No.
Okay.
We will provide the exact same services. What it may affect is our firm is very well known for being extremely generous to our communities in terms of supporting education foundations, chambers of commerce, and such like that. That additional money that we usually ask for usually goes to supporting organizations out there. It may lessen the amount of money we can give in terms of supporting those community organizations, but in terms of the work that we will provide to our clients, absolutely not. We will continue to do everything at whatever rate that is. What we would like to do, though, is in negotiating that, we would love to be able to leave it open to maybe 2 years, looking at that rate again, maybe in 2 years, if we were to do that. But no, we're very open to negotiating that if y'all want to bring that to the table.
Okay, thank you.
Is that it, Randy?
That's it.
All right, Philip?
I would, if I may, I would like to hear about your company, basically how many people that you already represent as clients in this county. I would like to find out what percentage in reference to delinquent taxes that you've normally, if you have an area in this county that you have, or what is the average, like 97% or whatever. I'd like to know more about your, I've read it, but I want you to tell everybody about yourself. Also, we'll have a follow-up questions in reference after y'all get through talking. Would you please give us a synopsis and reference what you're all about?
Well, Commissioner Martin, thank you. My name is Patrick Woods, and I'm an attorney. I'm a partner in our Tyler office. There are 14 offices in our law firm, and we have a Tyler office as well as a Garland office. Doug is the managing partner of Tyler, Garland, and Plano over in Collin County. And so this is our team. This is Patrick MacArthur. He and I are the lead attorneys here in Hunt County. We go to court. Patrick goes to court and fights for the interests of the taxing jurisdictions here in Hunt County. Our firm was founded in 1970, and we have been representing small to medium-sized rural school districts, counties, and cities since 1970. And that is exclusively what this law firm does. I will tell you that here in Hunt County, we have been here for a long time. In fact, 39 years we have represented taxing jurisdictions here in Hunt County. There are 7 of them that we currently represent. We are very proud to represent the jurisdictions that we do have here in Hunt County. And we've had a local presence here for all of that time. In the future, moving forward, I think that we would, if we were fortunate enough to begin to represent the county, we would love to have even more of a presence. We had a long-time employee here in the county. We would love to do that again, right? But having a local presence here is very important to us. But, our Tyler office, for your taxpayers, they can meet with an attorney anytime they would like to here in our local office. I'm in Tyler. Again, Doug is in Garland. But one of the services that we want to provide moving forward that we have even before now, is if you have a delinquent taxpayer that has a question, wants to meet with an attorney, they can certainly do so here in Greenville, as well as with our legal assistant anytime. I'm not sure if that's the kind of information you were looking for, but myself, I'm just an East Texas guy. I grew up here in Tyler. Patrick did as well. We grew up in Tyler together and attorneys, and Doug is from the Garland area, but we are partners with Purdue, very proud to be so. This is a great law firm, and we love working here.
You had also asked regarding collection percentages specifically here in Hunt County. Oh, sorry, you'd also asked specifically about collection percentages here in Hunt County.
Yes.
I don't know off the top of my head what our collection percentages are for each of the entities. We do represent, we have represented about 1,500 entities in the state of Texas for delinquent tax collections, so I don't know the percentages off the top of my head. I can get that information for you. But for the most part, the collection percentages in Hunt County, Hunt County is not a wealthy county, and so it's a little bit harder to collect on some of it. It's a little bit more rural than, say, for instance, if you're looking at compared to numbers in Collin County or Dallas County, where you've got a lot larger accounts where it's easier to ramp up your collections. But we do a good job here. I believe every one of our clients here in Hunt County has a higher collection percentage than your collection percentages have been over the last several years. We were doing a very good job for Greenville ISD. When we lost that, and that was, we lost it due to some influences by the county tax collector. And that's, it was a shame that happened because we'd had a very long relationship with them. We did a very good job for them. As far as our firm, a little more about it, we have 59 attorneys in our firm statewide. We have more than 400 employees, and all of our employees every one of our attorneys does collections for government entities. That's all we do. And as far as not having expertise in other kinds of law, in my 25 years of doing this, I've never had a case impacted because I wasn't an expert, a so-called expert in some other area of law. We collect taxes. That's what we do. We're experts in it. Thank you.
We don't have that many offices. We have one, and it's just down 380 from here. We're not spread out among 1,600 clients. We have a couple dozen on that. We are not big, and we wear that as a badge of honor. We do not have impersonal call centers approaching people. We have the actual legal assistants and lawyers that are handling their cases and their accounts. They talk to them. When your taxpayers call our office, they're going to talk to me or my assistant Janice or my assistant Candace or Maggie or Paul. When we go to court, it's going to be us going to court. We are it. And we will be handling those. Now, in terms of our collection rates, I do want to point out to you, Collin County, right next door. When we talk about collections, we talk about current year collections versus all years. This last year, it was 74% of the current years, and it was 44, okay, 40 or 44% for all years on that. And a lot of that is simply because this firm has traditionally, over the years, made sure that those non-performing accounts were taken care of. And that's what Hunt County needs. You need somebody that's going to pay attention to all the accounts and not just the easy ones. Hope that answered your question.
Yes. How many clients do y'all, are you following that up? How many clients do you have here in Hunt County at this time?
Right now, not that are primarily here. Community ISD, which I've actually represented for 20 years.
Yes.
I'm in court every once in a while for Community ISD. I think Farmersville ISD also has some accounts from time to time in Hunt County. So I'm not unfamiliar with the courts here, but in terms of having actual clients that are based here specifically in Hunt County, that would be zero.
Thank you.
Just to follow up a little bit about our firm, as you've heard, there are some differences in our collection practices, and that's going to be true of any two firms. But what's true about ours is we are truly local. We don't have, an attorney that may live near here or an office and an assistant that may come every once in a while. We're going to be there. We've been there for over 100 years, and we'll be there for as long as I'll be here. We don't represent, the Dallas counties, the Harris counties. We don't have 55 or 60 lawyers. Our competitors talk about their resources. They do have a lot of resources, but are they using them on you? You had a big firm represent you before. they had the same resources that, other firms have. Are they using them on Hunt County is the question. If we're fortunate enough to represent you, you are going to get our full attention. This is who is going to be representing you. We're going to be here. We're going to be at your meetings. We're going to be the ones sending you the reports. It's going to be from our email address. You're going to get our numbers, call our desk. We don't have call centers like Tracy mentioned. There are things that big firms have that could cause clients like this to get lost in the shuffle. And we think that that's what happened whenever you had your prior law firm. I think you got lost in the shuffle. Some of those older accounts are accounts that currently belong to the other firm here today. And, we've looked into those, and we're ready to address them today. Just a bit about myself. I've been practicing for 10 years. I know bankruptcy. I've been doing bankruptcy for a long time. I've also worked in the tax collections department with Tracy for a while, and we've been very successful implementing our policies and procedures with our local clients. We go play in the chamber golf tournaments. We'll see. We're not going to come here and just kind of give you a report. We're here in this community. We'll play in the ISD golf tournaments. We'll go to the galas. We're around. You know us. Randy Hullett was in this county for a number of years before joining our firm. He speaks very, very highly of this area as well. So what you get with us is a truly local firm that cares about this community, because this is where we live. So
Thank you.
that's all I have.
All right. I tell you what, let's take a 10-minute break or something.
Can I have one more thing?
Sure.
Okay. In regards to the collection percentages they were talking about in Collin County, over the last 3 years, our firm has taken a couple of clients from Abernathy, and the difference in collections between the two firms is pretty startling. Plano ISD and Frisco ISD, which are the two largest by dollar entities in Collin County. And the Abernathy law firm in their last year of collecting for Frisco ISD had a turnover year collection of 72.4%. In our first full year of collections, we were at 85.5. For Plano ISD, they had turnover year collections of 62.4, 70.5, and 63.3. And I got these numbers out of their proposal to.
You're saying turnover collect?
That's the first year collection.
First year, okay.
So for instance, you're about to turn over the 2021 taxes for us, our collection. That's turnover year. I apologize.
Gotcha, okay. So we all know what you're talking about.
Through, we collected the first year. The first year was a split where they collected for 2 months, and then we collected for the remaining 10. And that year was 83.5. So that was almost 20% higher than the prior year. And this year, through 11 months, which is all our collections, we're at 77% already through the end of May. For the all years collections, it's even more startling. And this is where they talk about all having our resources a bad thing. No, on all years collections, where we're really able to shine. For the Plano ISD, 32.4, 34.6, 34.6 for the 3 years prior to starting. So far this year, we're at 47.6. Last year, which was a split year, again, 2 months of Abernathy, 10 months of us, was almost 55%. So you're talking an increase of almost 50% in the collections. So that's startling numbers. And we mentioned earlier, and I know Linebarger came in last week and said something about Greenville ISD and the dollars collected. Yes, the dollars collected are a lot more because the rolls are growing. But the key thing to look at is the collection percentages, because that's where the biggest difference is made.
Thank you.
I can understand that, and the thing about it is it's going to be increased every year with whomever.
Yes, sir, it is. As property values continue to rise, the dollars delinquent are going to rise also.
Okay.
What was your collection rate for Plano ISD this last year?
For what, for last year?
Yeah.
It was 85.5.
85.5.
And,
It's one of the reasons why the collection rate was high is they're coming off of COVID, and I think everybody understands that.
Speak up, please. What'd you say?
One of the reasons why the collection rate for their opening year is it was coming off of COVID.
All right, let's take a break. We got some commissioners and a judge up here might need to take a break. Let's take about a 10-minute break.